Hello, everybody. It's Paul Neeson with Torah Life Ministries. I'm so excited about today's guest on the show. You're going to be excited too when you hear who we have. So, hello, guys. How you doing?
Hi.
Good. How you doing, Paul?
Good. Why don't you guys introduce yourself, and I want to get into why you're on the show. So, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Luke Abafi,
I'm Katie Abafi.
and we're making this documentary called The Way.
Great. And for those of you that haven't seen it yet, The Way is a documentary pretty much about the Hebraic roots Messianic lifestyle, and we're going to get into today's interview and find out exactly what it is about and why they decided to do it. So guys, what made you guys, first of all, how are you guys new to this movement? Have you been doing it a long time, or this cult, or whatever you want to call it?
Well, I've been in this thing, Torah, for probably a year and a half now, roughly. Maybe a little longer, almost 2 years.
Maybe a little longer. And for me, just like a year. Kind of it started 2 months after we got married. I had the same understanding that Luke said.
Wonderful. So what guys made you go from like Christians to realizing that there's more out there?
Man, well, for me, it was my mother. She was the first one. She called me. I was living in New York, and that's where we met. And she called me, and she said, Luke, I'm not doing Christmas this year. And she had, when I was younger, we had done Passover and a couple other things, like once, just to check out what it was like. But that was just because it was in the Bible, she wanted to check it out. But then when I went to New York, she totally came into the Hebrew roots. And when she told me, I was shocked. And after doing a lot of study on my own, I realized, whoa, she's right.
Now, up to that point, had you ever heard of the Hebraic roots movement before?
No, and even then, I didn't ever hear that term. She never said that. So I just knew she's celebrating everything in the Bible now, even the stuff that everyone would just call Jewish. And I thought, I can't find any reason not to do it. So I started.
Sure.
And then when Luke was investigating all this stuff, I think at first just to have a dialogue with his mom, and then started to see the truth of it, he was telling me too, and I just was not I was not tracking at all. I grew up in a huge non-denominational church, and I went to a tiny Reformed theology kind of school my whole life, and I thought I had a really airtight theology and all the answers down the line for everything.
So she thought she'd win me over eventually, and I'd learn the error of my ways.
I was like, oh, he'll see the light eventually, but I did, and so when we first got married and we moved to LA, we were visiting churches on Sunday that I wanted to visit, and Luke really wanted us to visit Shabbat groups on Saturdays. It was this crazy thing, but eventually we got on the same page, and we've been learning so much. It's crazy.
Well, that's great. And what have your friends and your family? Well, we know your mom's been doing this, but what have most of your friends and family saying about this move that you made here?
Man, a lot of my friends here that I've talked to about it extensively, they think I'm crazy. They kind of think it is culty, and they're just like, let's not talk about religion. We'll just keep being friends. Her friends, though, some of them, it seems like they agree just on a very surface level. They maybe don't understand exactly all the implications, but they seem to agree, right?
Yeah, when we celebrated Sukkot for the first time this year, and I was so excited because it was the most amazing week ever, and I was telling my friends, and they're like, yeah, that sounds cool. But then, other aspects they're not so sure of, so I think it kind of, it'll just be a process.
We'll see what they think.
Sure. So Luke, you're a journalist by trade. That's what you do, right?
Yes.
So what gave you the idea to make this documentary, and what's the documentary exactly about?
Okay, well, the idea originally came when I realized, all right, my mother's right. I've been understanding the Bible wrong or misinterpreting it for my whole life. And it was a huge change, the biggest change in my life. And I thought, I gotta try and do something in my own little way to let other people know that maybe they're also misunderstanding some things in the reading of the Bible. And that is what the documentary is aimed at doing. One, it's supposed to show the Hebrew Roots movement and the people in it, the people who are practicing, and two, it's supposed to kind of present their arguments. Yeah.
Sure.
That's what it's.
Well, what is the name of the documentary, and when is it coming out, and how can people see it?
So the working title of the documentary right now is called The Way. That may slightly change when we release it, but that's pretty much what it'll be called. And I plan to release it at the end of May. And
okay.
Yeah.
Now, while you're doing this film and interviewing a whole bunch of people like myself and other people, is there anything you heard that you like, wow, I didn't know that?
You want to take this?
So many things. Every single person we've talked to, whether they're a teacher, you know, or like a person we met at Sukkot, or just different people we've met as we visited like Shabbat groups and stuff, every person has crazy insight. And that's the exciting thing. It's not just like one leader, like one person putting out ideas, but each person seems so passionate about digging into the word and studying and praying that there's so many realizations. And I take notes literally at every interview, just for myself.
Wonderful. Now, is this documentary going to be something like Hebraic roots people can hand Christians, or is it really just for Hebraic roots people to say, hey, we have a film now? Who's the target audience?
No, that's exactly what we would like. We'd like it to be a tool in whatever way that a Hebraic roots person can hand to their Christian friend to help explain the changes that they've undergone, so that they can get the complete picture without just immediately saying, oh, you're in a cult, you're crazy.
Yeah, we want people who had this same understanding to be like, oh, that's my story, you know, like, and to feel like they see it represented in the film, and then to also be able to learn things like from the community of people we've talked to as well.
Now, have you interviewed anybody in the film, or are you planning to, who doesn't agree with this? Maybe opposition and showing both sides, or is it strictly this is the way?
No, we really wanted to give both sides of the argument as much as we could. So we've interviewed a pastor, a priest, we've interviewed theologians, and just Christian people in front of churches and in other locations. And yeah, because they need to present the arguments against it, and then we can present our argument.
Put them in conversation and kind of let the conversation go back and forth and answer each other.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, is this going to be released on YouTube, or is this going to be a video that you're going to be handing, selling? How's it going to work?
Originally, I guess we'll release it on our website, and then eventually we talked to some distribution companies about maybe getting it on Netflix and other places as well. So that is still in the works, distribution-wise. We probably won't put it on YouTube. No.
But you'll definitely be able to download it on our site, like a digital download, or also order a physical DVD, or multiple if you're planning on like handing them out to friends or something like that.
Sure. Is there anything that you're planning on doing in the video, or that you're doing in the video that was just too much? Like you're like, this is good, but we can't have it on here. Did anything come up like that?
Oh, probably a lot of things. You know, the funny thing is, since we did the Kickstarter, we've gotten so many emails and phone calls from people who have said, you got to interview this guy, and they all really great suggestions. And if we have, time, we will do that. I guess that doesn't fully answer your question, though. Man, have we had any crazy things that we got to cut?
I don't know. There was a pretty colorful story in San Diego. I don't know if it'll make the final cut. But
the whole circumcision thing. We probably will keep this in, actually. I can't give you any more information about it yet.
Oh, come on, really? Okay.
I'd like to, but.
Very good. Okay, so now you mentioned the Kickstarter. I know there are only a couple days left for those of people that are watching. Explain what the Kickstarter is.
So the Kickstarter is, all right, this is a grassroots movement, and the Kickstarter was a grassroots way to fund it. And I thought, we'll just make a trailer and show people what we're doing and see if anyone's interested. And it seemed like a lot of people really were interested in it, and so many people have supported it and been really generous. And it looks like we're getting close to funding totally everything, like beyond what we even needed. So the Kickstarter was to fund the documentary, and it's still running for a couple of days.
And the
Okay,
people
now,
who,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, the people who contribute kind of get different, they can choose different rewards or perks or incentives, however you want to call it. And it's kind of almost like a pre-order of the DVD. So if you want to get it early, if you want to screen it early, or have a, Google Hangout with some of the people we interviewed, things like that, you can jump in and get one of those things before it ever comes out.
Okay, now after the Kickstarter is over, can people still officially go to the Kickstarter page, or is there another page where they could help support your project?
No, they can still go there and look at the campaign. I guess they can't like support it, but they can pray for us. That's support.
And we'll keep posting updates there and on our Facebook group. So if you want to keep going to the Kickstarter, we'll keep saying what we're doing and what step of the production we're in and everything like that.
Okay, we're going to put below the video here a link to the Kickstarter page. It's only going to be up for a couple more days, so we'll get that out. And we're also going to put your website where they can find more exactly about the film and the information. Yeah, I guess they could do it at the Kickstarter page also, but is there another specific website that you're sending people to?
Yeah, our production company is just called alignthestars.com. And
okay. And people can contact you through that website?
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, we're really excited about it, and I thank you so much for doing what you're doing to try to help people that's eyes been open, just to open other people's eyes. So thank you very much for that. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we end the interview?
Thank you for having us on. I mean, it's really cool.
And thank you to everyone who's supported this thing. We could not do it without that.
Very good. Well, we're excited about it. We're looking forward to seeing it. Everybody check out their website. It's below the link here. And if you can support them and just pray for them and pray for the project. And thank you guys again so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.